what's going on, Pool Sports family? We're back with another edition of After the Final Whistle. Yes, we've yet to do it right after the game. Right now, we're a little far to talk about San Jose. We'll maybe get it in a little bit, but we're going to focus on what's ahead, which is this LA Galaxy game. And for that, I got my main man right here, Jackson Felds, not only one of the voices for the Seattle Sounders in radio, but the baddest producer in town. Tell Dave Softimall I said that. Thanks for giving us some of your time. I know you're a busy guy. We're trying to get this done. You're finally here. Before we get into the LA Galaxy game, just wanted to get at least two things that you feel like Seattle can build out of the good stuff that happened in San Jose and put it into this very tough, difficult game on the road against the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one of the things that we didn't see against San Jose was, I think, we saw the team defending lack, I think, in a few specific moments. Yeah. And obviously that third goal, just such a gutting play for us. And I think one of the things that when you go through those experiences, you do tighten up defensively. You inevitably are going to get better. And against a very, very, very good Galaxy attack, Nico, I think that this is a defense that can get better. They will get better. They'll be on point. We just talked to Alex Roldan, who talked about that patience. And these guys like Jovic, like Ricky Puig, they're going to bring skill. They're going to bring, their abilities. They're going to find their lanes. But it's all about, listen, they can get into the final third. They can get there. They can own the ball in possession in the midfield. They can do everything they want to do, but shut down those lanes in the final third. Make sure they don't have big chances in the box. And with the defense, I think inevitably improving on what we saw against San Jose, they can't possibly give up the goals they gave up against San Jose. They can't do that again. I think they'll be better. And then offensively, it's really, Nico, just about getting going, I think, on a lot of different fronts. And there's a lot of players who I think can just get a little bit better. The cohesion can build. The connection between Ruidiaz and Jordan Morris needs to get better. They need to get balls at their feet in the final third, in the box, get those chances. And if they build on that, I do think a result is here for them, Nico.
I'm going to go with the two Dannys. Danny Leyva, Danny Mosowski, both of those guys for me need to get a little bit more minutes, need to get a lot more minutes perhaps. Danny's ability to put in dangerous set pieces was huge. Dangerous balls into space, in the half spaces. I just think his passing is fantastic. And then Danny Mosowski, he gives you something different off the bench. He came on. He was a different presence. He's a guy that you can tell being in that area, that 18, he's going to be dangerous. So as he gets more confidence today, we saw him putting a couple of great balls into the back of the net in a little finishing drill that we're doing. So I want to see a little more of that. But not all has been great news here at Long Acres. We talked about Leo Chu's absence. He's going to be out 3 to 5 weeks. For you, I mean, it might be a rhetorical question, but the like-for-like player, maybe Jordan Morris, how do you feel like that's going to either help or change the way this team has been functioning so far?
Well, we've had a long conversation, Nico, about Jordan Morris and how we get him going, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's not in the best run of form right now. And the question is, how can we find Jordan Morris's form? How can he get back to the player that we've seen over the last number of years? And maybe that answer is unlocking his potential on the left wing. Maybe it is getting back to a position on the wing where he has been so good in years past. And if he can get out there with Raul starting, and obviously with Chu out, it's one of those things, Tico, where it's like, it's bad news you have an injury, but on the other side, for a certain player who needs to get in a run of form, right, it's an opportunity. So that's how I look at it for Jordan Morris. It's an opportunity to get back on the left wing, find that skill, and hopefully find the back of the net. But even then, it also opens up for Raul to now start as the solo forward. And I think that setup, I mean, we've seen so much success with it in years past, man, so much success. And it's a question of, all right, going back to something that these guys have had so much success in, will that bring the result? Will that bring the success offensively? Will that bring maybe more than one goal in the run of play? I would love to see that.
And that's exactly it. I'll co-sign absolutely everything you said. I will add that I just think that Jordan Morris is so much more equipped to play out wide, and nobody's getting anything out of having Jordan Morris get as little service and not be as involved as he hasn't been lately. And there's a little bit of confidence that goes into maybe being in front of goal, and all of that you can kind of build on by having him on the wing. And then I'm absolutely with you in the terms that That's where he's been successful in the past. And we just talked to Raul Ruiz. He sounds like he's full of confidence. And if you can get him to maybe even 75% of what he's done for this club before, you could have a really good offense. Part of that, though, going into the LA Galaxy game is going to be midfield. We just heard that Obed Vargas is not going to be available. He has not cleared concussion protocol. Therefore, going to a guy that maybe has done it in the past before, do you bring Christian back a line, or do you go with Danny and Josh Atencio, who's finally back from the red card?
It's a great question. It's a great question
because I know you've liked that before.
I know, right? This is the great question, right? Because I think that you're going to get Josh Atencio back in the holding midfield. And I think because Albert Rusnak is back and starting, and he's good to go 90, as Albert has said, you can go back to the comfortable 4-2-3-1. It's no more we're going to make this work in a 4-4-2, and it really kind of more looks like a 4-4-1-1 with Raul playing right under Jordan, right? We can go back to the comfortability that we've played for the last 8 years, basically, in the 4-2-3-1. So Josh is there. But then the question becomes, right, do you drop Christian a line and make things work, or do you bring Alex up? Do you maybe put in a Cody Baker, right? I mean, Cody Baker getting the assist there in San Jose, that was a fantastic ball. Listen, this is a blue collar kid. He works hard defensively. He does the work. He's getting clearly better on the offensive end. He told us earlier this week that he's been working on that offensive end throughout the offseason. It shows. So do you give him that opportunity and give him the nod to say, yeah, you earned this start? And then Alex Roldan, I mean, listen, he played in the midfield at Seattle. He played in the midfield when he was drafted to the Sounders. He then moved back to the wingback spot where he was still kind of, partially in the midfield, right, 100%. In the 3-5-2. So the wing, if he was to start on the right mid, it's part of his game. I don't think they're losing anything there. And then what you can do is you can tell Christian, get up and go. Yes, you're sitting next to Josh Atencio. But in terms of that, that twosome, one stays, one goes, Christian Roldan's going 99% of the time as opposed to Josh Atencio, right? So you have Christian come up and get into that pocket off of Albert Rusnak. So it almost looks like in theory, a 4-1-4-1, where it's Christian and Alex still working together. And that's what you want to get, Nico, right? You want to make sure those Roldan brothers are playing next to each other because that chemistry is so good. And that right there, I mean, I love that idea, and I love Cody Baker getting a nod. I'm not sure if that's what Brian Schmetzer will do, but I would love to see it.
I think, especially in this game, you definitely will need a guy as sound defensively in that particular part of the field as Christian Roldan. Because if you have Ricky getting into spaces and, whenever it is that maybe Cody pushes up sometimes or Nuhu, you have someone that can maybe catch up to those two bullets that you guys, that the LA Galaxy teams have out wide. Because it could be Gabriel Peck and it could be Pencil on both sides. That's a lot of speed. So because of that, I really like that. And the fact that I feel like Alex can coexist very easily one line higher. We just talked to him. He said, I do that anyways. One of his fortes, his services into the box, is his ability with the ball at his feet. So because of that, it could be a good change of pace. He might catch LA Galaxy by surprise. It'd just be a different look in general. So just to kind of move forward here, I do want to touch up on some more general sense things. Just 2 more questions for you, and I will let you go. I promise. Well, actually 3, because I'm going to hold you to maybe give me not a score necessarily, but a prediction. One, and it's one that I was just asked yesterday, and I'll give you my take real quick so you can put your take on it. Yesterday I was asked in a podcast, Lacuna from LA Galaxy, and they asked me, is Brian Schmetzer in the hot seat? Is there any problems with Brian Schmetzer? I told him, look, I'm going to say that it's warm, and the only reason why I say that is because last season, it was hot. At some point, there was a campaign of fans that wanted him out. He was able to revert everything, get this team to be second in the Western Conference. They were one shot away from really getting to the final against the LA Galaxy. If you put that Jordan goal away, maybe things change differently. But I do feel like the cushion, the leash that you had after CCL, that has minimized. If not completely shortened, it's right here. So if results continue to not go our way, I could see that seat going from warm to hot. But right now, I don't think that's the case. There's too many circumstances, not excuses, injuries, problems, things that you had to do this season, you cannot blame the coach for. And I want to get your take on that because it's something that happens to be around. People want to ask, people want to know. And since Brian likes you a lot more than he likes me, I know that. I wanted to get your take on it.
So you said it's warm?
Yeah, I say it's warm.
Okay.
I say it's warm.
I'll say it's freezing cold. It's ice cold. No, I mean, like, no, absolutely not. There's no hot seat or anything here. I mean, like, the dude, when we look at the history, you know, the 2 years since he took over, this club has not made a final of some kind, whether it be leagues or whether it be, you know, MLS or Champions League. Just 2 years we haven't been in a final, 18 last year. So overall, when you look at the entire picture, this is a guy who knows how to get to finals. And really, I think you mentioned it, right? If Jordan hits that first-minute goal against LAFC last year in that home playoff game, if he hits that goal, Sounders leading 1-0, it's a completely different ball game. And we know they had the best defense in MLS last year. I feel pretty good saying they have a great shot of winning that game. And then I think we are talking about this team in MLS Cup last year, and then we're talking about how many consecutive years in a final of some kind. This team was not far off last year. They added Pedro de la Vega to fill in that hole that they were missing last year. We haven't had a healthy team. Once we get a healthy team, if these results continue, it's a different conversation.
Right.
But this team is not healthy. They've not been, I mean, they're getting a little healthier, but it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back with Vargas and Chu. So this is a team right now where let's just see what happens when they're healthy. And none of this has anything to do with Brian Schmetzer.
Yeah,
He's right now doing the most he can do with what he has.
I mean, quite honestly, we don't even know the potential of this team yet because we haven't got to see a starting 11, right?
Freezing cold.
But what I will use against you, before we move to the next subject, is that I believe that Brian is subject to his own success. It's kind of like you put a standard and that's what everybody wants every single year. That's impossible in soccer, if you ask me. But I feel like people hold him to that wonderful success and everything he's been able to do with this team. We'll see what happens. The next question is, obviously it's not time to panic quite yet. We are kind of on the same board with this, but I was looking at the schedule, man. This 6-game stretch is tough, man. You got 2 times the LA Galaxy. You play Portland once. Montreal has looked great.
And then you have the Open Cup in May.
You got the Open Cup. There's just so many things. There's a convoluted schedule. When or how would it be time to maybe make some harsh decisions, either in personnel, in tactics, if this team just can't get it right?
I think you got to wait till people are back. Like, you got to wait till JP is back. We know Joao Paulo will be in full training next week. That's massive for this team. You got to wait till Pedro de la Vega gets back. And then once they get, I think, those 2 guys back, Nico, if the results still aren't coming with those 2 guys back, then we can talk about freaking out. We can talk about the hard decisions. But there's no point even going down that road until we see those games. And again, like, what are we at now? 5 weeks for De La Vega, I think, according to the timeline, right?
Yep.
Or could be as many as 5 weeks. So, like, let's go down through that timeline first.
And we just heard about JP, right?
Exactly. So let's give it a month and a half, and let's see where this team is at, because we're still a long way away.
So I'm with you. There is light at the end of the tunnel. That tunnel might be a little long. You might have to wait a little bit, but there is light. Look at the other teams that have not been able to win, Austin and New England. Austin, there is no light in that tunnel. And New England, they're worried about something else, but at the end of the day, I really do think that they have some issues there with Caleb. But finally, we get into the prediction part. You've already explained quite a lot about it, but just give me your take on what you believe and why that result might present itself.
Well, again, it all depends on what Brian Schmetzer puts out. I think the potential is here for a really interesting starting lineup with an opportunity for maybe a kid like Cody. But even if you don't do that and you have Christian up on the right, then you can build a front 4 of Christian, Albert, Jordan, Raul. That foursome right there, Nico, that has established itself as a very, very good attacking foursome in Major League Soccer. Maybe not as good as the Galaxy are this season, but still very, very good. So no matter what way you slice and dice it for this game, Nico, I think the attack is going to be more competent. You're going to get Jordan on the left. You're going to get Raul up top, who's been very good this year. I think this team has at least one, I think maybe even 2 goals in them. Maybe it comes via penalty. They've been obviously very good via the penalty this year.
Right.
Raul's been an ace with his Panenkas, right? But I mean, regardless, I think how they come, I think they come in this game. We know the Galaxy defense is quite poor. They give up quite a lot of goals.
Yeah.
So I think the Sounders are going to be able to capitalize on that, but then it's LA's attack. And the reality is LA is, I think, going to score 2 goals. I think you can almost lock it in. So write me down as a 2-2 final.
Oh, well, I love it. We are right on par. I am totally with you. I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked if, and it's not what everybody believes here, if Seattle goes out there and get a win, I'd be very surprised. We've heard some of the guys in the beat here thinking that this could be time for a win. They could go out there and shock LA. I'd be surprised. But the 2-2 draw is what I kind of see. A feel-good draw where your offense more cohesive, where guys get some minutes, where maybe Raul gets a goal in the run of play, something that hasn't happened, where Jordan gets his feedback, where maybe that option with Alex or Christian just fluids itself into a better situation, gives this team options, and that's just a feel-good draw, right? And you could build momentum off of that, wait for guys to come back. We were told, like we kind of hinted here, JP will be full in practice next week. That's going to change absolutely everything. We know how important the MVP candidate at one time and everything he's done for this team is for this squad. Just changes the perspective, right? I mean, that's got to be probably the biggest piece of news in a good sense that we've had in a little bit here.
The vibes today, yes, the game's tomorrow against the Galaxy, it's great. The vibes today are as high as they've been in a while because of this JP news. Nico, that will fundamentally change the entire midfield. It will get your engine room back, because what he does, I mean, you basically say, all right, we know we have Josh and JP. We know we have that. Christian's on the right wing, Alberts, and then Jordan Raul with Pedro. The whole thing works again. The whole thing functions as it should. We don't have to ask these questions of how do you work these things around. We just know we have Josh and JP as that twosome, and it works. It just works.
And that's not a knock to the young guys that have been so good, and we love Obed and we love Danny.
It's just
JP. But JP brings a level of caliber, of eliteness, of quality that you just don't have right now, that you're going to need, whether it's passing, whether it's mid-range shots. He could do it all that. But thank you, Jackson. I appreciate it, man. Hopefully this is not the last time. Make sure that you follow this, man. Give him your social media just so they follow you. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing.
At Jackson on Radio.
And then you Sounders Weekly?
Sounders Weekly on Wednesdays, 8 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m. And, of course, our pregame show will start 7 p.m. Saturday on the Sounders FC stream channel on iHeartRadio for Sounders Galaxy.
There you go. Check it out. Cool family. Have a good one.